This is the second video on Chapter 7. And in this video, we're going to prove Part 1 of Theorem 45 using Part 2. So Part 1 of Theorem 45 says that sine of alpha plus beta is sine of alpha times cosine of beta plus cosine of alpha times sine of beta. And we're going to use proposition 39. We're going to use proposition 39 a lot in the proof of this. And we're also going to use, as I mentioned, Part 2. So proposition 39 part 5, recall that sine of theta is equal to cosine of theta minus pi over 2. And this is true for all theta. We're going to apply this to alpha plus beta. So sine of alpha plus beta is cosine of alpha plus beta minus pi over 2. We'll rewrite the alpha plus beta minus pi over 2 on this step right here. Then we apply part 2. So we have cosine of alpha times cosine of beta minus pi over 2 minus sine of alpha sine of beta minus pi over 2. Again, using proposition 39 part 5, cosine of beta minus pi over 2 is sine of beta. So here, sine of beta is cosine of beta minus pi over 2. This is proposition 39 part 5. Sine of alpha is sine of alpha. Here we replace the beta minus pi over 2 with pi over 2 minus beta. We change the sign. And so the pi over 2 minus beta is negative 1 times beta minus pi over 2. That is the same as having the negative 1 here. So we have negative 1 sine of pi over 2 minus beta is the same as sine of beta minus pi over 2. That's proposition 39 part 2 that allows us to do that. Now we have cosine of alpha, sine of beta, sine of alpha, cosine of negative beta. Well, okay, we have the negative times the negative, so that became a positive. Forgot that part. So negative times the negative, there's our positive. But now, sine of negative beta plus pi over 2, here we have our, so sine of negative beta plus pi over 2, so that is going to be the same as cosine of negative beta. So here our theta would be pi over 2 minus beta. So we have pi over 2 minus beta minus pi over 2. So we have our cosine of negative beta. So again, we're using proposition 39 part 5. Cosine of negative beta and cosine of beta are equal by proposition 39 part 1. And so finally we have our last line, cosine alpha times sine beta plus sine of alpha cosine of beta, which is what we wanted. The terms are rewritten in a different order, but the two are equal.